Hey guys, welcome back. It's Maverick here today with episode 17 of Fumetsu no Anata. So, we finally have some actual development here. I say actual development because I keep on harping on, I'm not entirely sold on the current situation on the island. I think there's more to it. There's more, hidden stuff that maybe even the islanders themselves don't really know about, and so on and so forth. And we finally got the ball rolling, right? Fushi, just as he was about to win the tournament, was defeated by Hayase. And, it's been pretty well known since these last few episodes that Hayase was the one who is responsible for Fushi being here in the first place, and and all that. So what's she after? Does it have anything to do with the island? And heck, she is the winner now, right? So technically, she's the king or ruler of the island. So let's just see how exactly that works out, right? Because I've been saying that I think this entire thing is a farce, but hey, we shall see. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Well, about that, girl. Alright, and I guess we had that entire backstory for Tonari and her father and whatnot. Though I'm kinda meh on that. Oh yeah, it has been a long while. How many years has passed at this point? I almost completely forgot about the fact that we went through a time skip, right? Wait, how many years was that? 4 years? Or something? I already forgot, like, how much of a time skip we went through. Yeah, this is one determined woman, isn't she? Real talk though, beyond like what's happening on screen and all that, I actually really like this background music. It's really good. Right. You gotta encounter some problems in order to evolve, right? Because evolution only happens when you need to adapt to circumstances. Right? There's something that's pushing you along. No, you can't. You can't continue surviving with as you currently are. That's why you evolve. Huh? If we think about things that way, though, at least on the observer's side, right? From the observer's perspective, probably Fushi is destined to go through these failures and hardships, and pains and loss and so on and so forth, because otherwise he cannot evolve, and that's the whole point that of the observer creating Fushi, right? And I'm really curious about, I guess this technically counts as spoilers, But I mean, it's already in the opening, right? So we can already see that eventually the people on the island get, like, I don't know, zombified, berserked, or whatever. They kind of like lose their own consciousness and whatnot. Centoflo. Oh? Still conscious? Hmm. Yeah, 5 years ago. Hmm. Okay. What are you playing at, Hayase? What are you trying to do, Hayase? Who knew that Hayase was such a persuasive speaker? Fighting alongside you against what? Who enforces the rules, though? I mean, in honestly, I'm kind of astonished that if this is a true anarchy, that the tournament could take place in the first place. Oh, the blood oath. What is she playing at? Wait, aren't these her people? The ones carrying the hockey sticks? WTF. So they were running the palace in the first place? Although, to be honest, that would actually make a lot more sense, right? You know, combining with what I've been saying this entire time, I don't really buy the fact that the island has been running things themselves, including this tournament, including, you know, keeping an empty palace for the supposed ruler of this land and whatnot. Like, that doesn't follow human nature at all. I would actually be much more convinced if it was instead a situation where, you know, it was those from the mainland, right, that were actually pulling the strings from the shadows instead. Like, who was taking care of this palace and whatnot? Oh. Does Hayase think that doing this will make her immortal as well? Or something of that sort? Or maybe like the offspring that she bears with Fushi's seed will will be an immortal or something of that sort. And he's poisoned, right? So why? What? Then why did? It's dead. Yep. Saw that coming a mile away. Fight another day. Oh, that was some quick thinking by Fushi. Good job. Wouldn't that be like everyone? Yeah. Oh. Oh, the leader's Tonari? I'm surprised there aren't any arrows from going her way there. I still feel like this situation is just so unrealistic in so many ways. I feel like Fushi has the ability to build up resistance to that drug, right? Oh, just going back. Hmm? Sure, I thought you were dead. Alright. But I don't... Why is Hayase taking the... I mean, great. Looks like Fushi's gonna be saved once again, but again, this episode. Well, let's talk more after this. Okay, so, about this episode, right? Like, I don't know, guys. It's really not vibing all that much for me. Sure, I mean, it's great that in the end we do get this nice scene of Tamari, going back to help save Fushi when, you know, all along she was kind of the reason he is there in the first place, right? And how he got into this entire situation in the first place. But beyond that, though, because I'm a guy that likes to look at what's building up the story, right? And I feel like this is a series which is really focused more on the characters and how they interact with each other more so than the context and the setting they are in. So that's why, like, throughout these few episodes, and indeed throughout this entire arc here, right, throughout this arc in regards to the island, I'm always focused on what, you know, how this situation came to be, why these people are still here in the first place, you know, actually, sorry, I know why these people are here in the first place, but why are they still here, right? What exactly is, you know, just the entire setting of it, right? Like having this tournament, choosing a leader based on this tournament, and then somehow, you know, even though they are able to muster up that kind of organization and so on and so forth, and yet they still can't organize themselves to just get off the island by themselves. Like, I don't know, guys. It just doesn't really make much sense to me in terms of all this. Again, the most logical conclusion I can come to at this point is still that, okay, the island, this country is actually in a way, I can't really even say if it's a country or not, right? They are actually still being controlled by other countries instead. Like, for instance, Yanome, right? Hayase, the fact that she's here, the fact that she can bring like a contingent of her soldiers here as well, and the fact that she knows like the ins and outs of the palace, the ins and outs of the island, the fact that there's a sanctuary there and whatnot, it really leads me more to believe that this is an island that's still under the jurisdiction of Yanome, and thus Hayase has some say over all of this, right? Now, what exactly she represents within, the original nation, empire, whatever you want to call it, and whether she is still acting in that capacity, that is a little bit more ambiguous, right? Certainly, I can see, we see in the scene here that Hayase is trying to, I guess, have sex with Fushi, right? I can get that, probably due to the fact that Fushi is an immortal being, so she either wants to in some way gain immortality herself, or in some sort of way bear offspring that is also immortal, and that kind of thing, right? I think we can take a leap of faith and say that she's trying to accomplish that sort of thing here. But whether that is just for her personal gain, for her personal goals and whatnot, or is it under a greater goal of some higher power, right? That is still unknown at this point in time. But definitely there's still lots of questions. Like for instance, why? Why does she want to name Tonari as the leader of this island? Why did she eventually get this other ship, right? And then bring all these people on the ship back, and even herself back as well, and instead leaving Fushi there on the island, right? And obviously I think there's something there within that well there. That's probably the sanctuary that she was talking about. So it's definitely not just a situation where she drugs Fushi and then just leaves him there. There's obviously something in that well that's pretty much supernatural as well, that's probably holding Fushi, and that's why Tonari has to go back and help Fushi, because otherwise Fushi will probably not have the strength or the capability to get out of that situation by himself, right? And I'm sure that Hayase is not that stupid as to just put Fushi in a well when he could literally change into lots and various different kinds of creatures and whatnot, and just get himself out of there, right? So really, I don't know, it's just like the entire, I just feel like the progression of the story itself doesn't really make much sense. Like, you can have great characters, compelling characters, characters that have sad backstories and whatnot, and characters that try to discover themselves, find meaning, and so on and so forth. That's all fine and dandy and all, but I like to also have a story that that completes itself, right? That have the people within it making logical decisions, that is consistent logic throughout, right? And not just for the sake of, okay, I want to create an emotional scene, so let's just throw everything that we established out the window and continue with this instead, right? Like, for instance, that scene there with Tonari saying that she's going to leave and whatnot. Why didn't the people riot at that point, right? Why didn't they riot? Why didn't they also, we saw so long ago in so many situations exactly like this, that hey, if they keep an eye on each other, and that goes with the leader as well. If needed, they just kill off the leader and they host a tournament once again. And they even said it themselves, right? The entire reason why this island has been in such a deadlock is because this kept happening, right? Not that actually makes any more sense, to be honest. I've been saying this throughout this entire arc, that I don't really think the situation that Tonari is describing, at least as much as she knows and she is conveying to Fushi, I don't really think that's the full of the situation there. I still think that there is something else that's driving all these events, that's driving this entire situation. But if not, well, no, then again, I don't know, like this is just, I guess we're just supposed to accept it. Like, don't get me wrong, I can accept ludicrous situations, right? I can accept, it's not like I can't watch sci-fi or fantasy or I mean, we're dealing with an immortal being, right? So that much is expected. But I just expect to have, based on that kind of premise, you still need to have some rules and logic as to how people act, right? Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. And I think that's my biggest point about this. And I know a lot of people love this series and whatnot. It still has a super high rating on my anime list. Tons of people are saying they're touched by this, and they get very emotional over this, and that's fine and all, but I can't really get into that when so much of my attention is being diverted by this other stuff, right? I can't ignore it, okay? So hopefully, for those of you guys who are still watching this series alongside with me and watching my videos as well, hopefully this can give you guys an idea as to the viewpoint that I am coming at for this anime here, because I certainly understand that most people who do seek out videos in regards to this series probably like this series, right? You probably have a reason why you want to continue watching on. So I'm always hesitant to badmouth or really overtly criticize any particular episode or the entire series as a whole or something of that sort. But those who are my longtime viewers probably know that I just call it as I see it. I don't really sugarcoat things and whatnot. So yeah, that's all I can say at this point, right? Before I am able to relate to Tonari, and then again, do I really relate to Tonari? I think, to be honestly, the only character so far that I can somewhat relate to would still be Gugu, right? And that's just because of how he was truly a brother to Fushi in many ways, and really the epitome of putting others before himself in so many different ways, right? Not just Fushi, and not just and others as well, not just the girl he loved, but many others as well. Whereas here, they're all working more so for their own personal goals in a lot of sense. So should you be sympathetic towards them? Yes, but you gotta do what you gotta do to survive, right? And that goes for everyone as well. If instead today Tonari was not part of the characters that we care about, right? That has a connection with Fushi. What if she was just another somebody in the crowd, right? Does that change the fact that she's still trying to do all these things in order to get off the island and so on and so forth? No, that's still her story. And that's the same with every single one of those people there as well, right? And we can clearly see that in the scene where, we have the parents saying goodbye to their children and so on and so forth. And sure, again, that is a touching scene, right? Don't get me wrong. It's definitely very touching in this kind of sense that, hey, the parents, this is the ultimate love. They're sacrificing themselves for a future for their children. That's all fine and dandy. But why is this the first time that this has happened, right? That's I think my big question in regards to this. Or is it really because that, this is the first time this happened because Tonari herself is a child, and so this is the first time we've had a situation where, okay, people are more willing to forgive someone like this because she is still technically just a child. But does that really factor into human nature, right? Or instead, would human nature be more like, she's just a child, she doesn't understand anything, why should we obey her as a leader, and so on and so forth? I think the latter situation I described would be much more probable in this kind of situation, especially when you are, it's literally a matter of almost life and death, right? I'm just saying. So anyways, that was it for episode 17 of Fumetsu no Anata. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys, and well, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.